We have a new Knockouts champion who turned heel recently, signed a contract, an amazing worker, known. She's fucking awesome. And yes, she did that with the motivation from her boyfriend, who a lot of people are complaining about who it was. Like, I don't understand that. I don't sit there and say, oh, I don't think it should have been Jesse because Jesse's not known. Get him off my screen. I want more X Division because that's what put TNA on the map. No, like, shut the fuck up. This is only like the beginning of this storyline. We're probably gonna see him support her. We're probably gonna see him start wrestling. God knows where this man could go. The same way you guys badmouth him, I'm sure somebody badmouthed Austin Aries during the pre-show of Bound for Glory 2005. I'm sure somebody badmouthed Robert Roode on that same card when he was with Team Canada. I'm sure some of you were complaining, saying that he should be pushed to the moon and he should be the world champion. Well, guess what? He did become the world champion eventually. If you guys could tell me of a wrestler who won the world title within 2 weeks of their debut or whatnot and held it for the next 20 years until they retired, then please tell me. Unless you've been sleeping under a rock, you need to understand that there's a time and place for everything in wrestling. In the last 2 years, who have we had as champions? We had Jeff Hardy. He dropped it to Anderson. He got it back. He dropped it to Sting. Sting held it. Sting dropped it to Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle dropped it to James Storm. James Storm dropped it to Rude. Rude dropped it to Aries. And Aries dropped it to Hardy. What the fuck is wrong with that equation in the past 2 years? That sounds beautiful. Anderson had a reign in there. Hardy had 2 reigns in there. Aries had a world champion reign in TNA. Something that I'm sure he can tell you he never expected to happen. The problem with some of you guys is that you guys feel like you know everything. So you guys are never satisfied. 5 months ago, if I would have told you that Austin Aries would be headlining Bound for Glory, you wouldn't believe me. You would bitch and moan saying that, no, because TNA gives too much time to Hulk Hogan and Sting and blah, 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 blah. He would never become world champion. Guess what? He got it. He dropped the title in June to get the title shot at Destination X. So then you guys were probably saying, oh, I don't think he should have dropped it because now he's going to look weak in front of Robert Roode and he's going to be made out to be a blah, 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 and it's just going to bury the X Division more than it's already been buried and blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? He won the title. Then you guys are saying, oh, well, he's going to drop it and Impact. They just did this for shock factor. We all know that Rude and Storm is going to headline Bound for Glory. It's obvious. That didn't happen either. He defended it against Rude and was able to carry the title until Bound for Glory. I think for any wrestler, anybody, if you're not going out to main event the biggest pay-per-view of the year, or if you're going to, if you're walking out to defend your title on the main event of the biggest pay-per-view of the year, I think that's enough solidification. That's enough prestige and honor than having to defend it and be the biggest champion and whatnot. I think Jeff Hardy being world champion right now is great. Jeff Hardy is world champion material. For the people bitching and moaning that they give too much love to WWE guys. Well, guess what? They're not WWE guys. They're TNA guys. If you worked for Chase for 7 years and now you're working at another bank, does that mean you're a Chase guy? Does that mean that you shouldn't get promoted where you're at now. You shouldn't have a good spot. If I had a fucking roster with Rob Van Dam, Samoa Joe, Jeff Hardy, Hulk Hogan, Sting, whoever the fuck, mixing the old school wrestlers, the new school, the future, I would wish that I could book it as good as TNA books it. And that's my opinion. People were complaining about Devon being revealed. If you were following the news with Devon these last few weeks, a lot of fans were begging him to go to WWE. A lot of people were begging him to stay with TNA. Hulk was publicly saying that he really wishes he would have stayed. He's a great man, hard worker, etc. Devon being revealed as the inside guy that betrayed TNA and was kind of backing up, supporting Aces and Eights, and now has given them this window to come to the company. That's like a stab in his chest for Hulk Hogan, especially the way he's been putting this guy over. A lot of people are saying they don't care about Devon. Yeah, I'm sure you guys thought you didn't care about Bully Ray. I didn't think I cared about Bully Ray. And God knows what he has done for himself and the company. I think the reason this kind of success wasn't found with Devon is because although Devon has been in better shape, he was just wrestling. He didn't have no promo times. He didn't have no storyline. He didn't have no edge with him. Being revealed as the first member of Aces and Eights, that's a fucking edge. And I don't think anybody should say anything until the shit plans out. What do people say? Oh, it's their biggest show. You're expecting a big reveal because blah, 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 blah. That's looking way too into it. Just watch what the fuck happens. Some people are saying that they don't know where this leaves their company going forward. Chavo and Hernandez tag champions. We're guaranteed to get good quality tag matches with those two in the ring. And I'm sure the defenders and the opponents are going to increase going down the line. Who's going to take away the title from Rob Van Dam? Whoever does is going to get a big rub just from taking it from him. Zema Ion already has a huge rub just for beating the shit out of him the way that he did. Tara, new heel champion with the support of her boyfriend, who you guys don't know shit about. Let shit unfold. You've ever been to a wrestler's Wikipedia page? If you go to a wrestler's Wikipedia page, it breaks down everything they've done in their career. Kane was a fucking dentist at one point. Like, seriously. Does that mean that he's a dentist now? No. You need to wait for careers to actually unfold to be able to judge it and say whether or not somebody used them right. I'm sure a lot of people thought Bobby Roode wasn't being used right, which I mentioned earlier. If you go down Bobby Roode's Wikipedia page, you'll see that he was in tag team for a while, this, that, then a singles, blah, blah, blue, blah, 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 feuds with Booker T, this person, that person, Eric Young, and guess what? He kept busting his ass, and he became the world champion. Now he's a huge, dominant heel. It Factor. James Storm. God knows, this man went through 2 different legendary tag teams for TNA. He could go into their Hall of Fame just for that. Imagine when his career is done, all the other shit that's going to be added on. When John Cena debuted, people weren't saying, oh, I think this was the wrong move for SmackDown, having this guy show up, Kurt Angle, and make him look weak, blah, 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 blah. I think they should just blah, blah, blah. Like, no. John Cena has become the most dominant wrestler in today's business, if ever. He's fucking huge. If you think John Cena can't wrestle, you're probably comparing him to some luchador that can run around and do all these crazy moves. That's not what wrestling, that's wrestling, don't get it twisted. But it doesn't mean that John Cena is not wrestling. You don't need to know more than 5 moves to wrestle in professional wrestling. He could tell a hell of a fucking story. He could tell a better story than most people you can name. I could talk forever. Point is, to say it bluntly, the more and more you guys talk about wrestling, the more and more you guys show that you guys don't know shit about wrestling. And I'm not just talking about the people on YouTube and stuff like that. I'm talking about the people on WrestleZone, ProWrestling.net, etc., etc. They have created this thing in their mind that they think they know what they're talking about for sure, so their opinion is automatically right, and that's that. A perfect example of this, I read this, title this Impact review on WrestleZone, and when it was announced that Joey Ryan's going to face Al Snow, the editor wrote, "I don't understand why they went with Al Snow. Shouldn't they have go with someone that knows a little bit more about wrestling? Someone that actually did something in this business? Blah, 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 blah." Last time I checked, Al Snow debuted in 1983. Which means he had like a 16-year career before the Attitude Era was already in full swing. That means that this motherfucker has almost 30 years in this business, 29 years in this fucking business, and you don't think this man should face some young punk trying to get into the company? Not to mention that he has a backstage role in TNA as well, and he's one of their top trainers. Like, it's obvious. It's sickening. It really is. If you have a problem with TNA, if you have a problem with WWE, if you have a problem with any of these companies, whatever, please comment below. I will respond and give you my 2 cents, because I think the way I watch wrestling is more like the way you used to watch it when you were a kid. That you watch it, you see what happens, and then you judge it. You don't watch it and weigh it against what you think should have happened because you're some super smart. And you don't weigh it against what you think is better for one person's career and blah, 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 blah. I could imagine that while some of you guys are there sitting saying, "Oh, blah, 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 this match was weak and did nothing for Austin Aries, blah, blah, blah." He's sitting backstage somewhere thinking, wow, he never thought he'll be in the main event with Jeff Hardy. And yeah, I don't know what else to talk about. Unfortunately, I don't get on this channel as often as I would like to. I never have the chance of getting on this channel. I should get on this channel more so I could explode my review all over you guys, or my thoughts, so that somebody out there is giving some kind of pure, open-minded thought towards wrestling. With that, if you're interested in gaming, please subscribe to my